Good morning, YouTube. Sorry guys, it's not been around much. I haven't been feeling that great lately. I'm okay though. Gonna do a series, New World Order Architects. See how it turns out. First edition will be Zbigniew Brzezinski. If you've not heard of him, he just died recently. He's got a daughter that's on MSNBC with Joe Scarborough named Mika Brzezinski. But he's been around forever, whispering in president's ears and, Council of Foreign Relations, all that shit. This guy he was one of the main planners. Let's see, between two ages. He wrote all kinds of books. More importantly, I'm going to tell you some of the quotes from his books, just really quickly, a few. Okay, we have a large, he's talking about the United States. We have a large public that is very ignorant about public affairs and very susceptible to simplistic slogans by candidates who appear out of nowhere, have no track record, but mouth-appealing slogans. Think of Obama. Yes, we can. I would almost put Trump in this category, but he didn't appear out of nowhere. Obama, you had no fucking idea who he was. If you weren't from Illinois, you had no idea who he was when he ran for president. None whatsoever. Never heard of the fucking guy. Came out of nowhere. Okay, another quote. Shortly, the public will be unable to reason or think for themselves. They'll only be able to parrot the information they've been given on the previous night's news. You talk to a liberal lately or someone on, if you talk to anyone who believes in the left and right, because that's what they'll oh, fuck, they're even beyond lazier than that. It's, Hannity said, or Rachel Maddow said. This is what's coming. It's not socialism. It's not communism. It's not capitalism. They're bringing the technocracy. Okay, they wrote about it. You've probably not heard the word. You may not have heard the word. They've wrote about it for years. It's what's coming. People, governments, and economies of all nations must serve the needs of multinational banks and corporations. Now, you got to understand, the people he wrote, he didn't write these books for people like me and you. He wrote these books for politicians. They're the ones who are supposed to look at this shit, okay? Not me and you. But don't make it fucking public, dude. Soft magic. Okay. Now, and he played a big role in the arming Afghanistan against the Soviet Union. It's back during the Cold War. America supposedly trying to beat the Soviets. Okay. So, on the risk of Soviet intervention, if the U.S. aided the Mujahideen, Afghanis, he asked if he himself was an advocate of the covert action and whether perhaps he desired the Soviet entry into war. Brzezinski. It isn't quite that. We didn't push the Russians to intervene, but we knowingly increased the probability that they would. Okay, same interview. This, funny enough, this interview is on it's like Marxists.com or something. Asked when the Soviets justified intervention by saying they were fighting against a secret involvement of the U.S. in Afghanistan. People didn't believe it then, although it was true. Do you regret it? Regret what? The secret operation was a great idea. It had the effect of drawing the Russians into an Afghanistan trap, and you want me to regret it? The day the Soviets officially crossed the border, I wrote to President Carter, we now have the ability to give the USSR its Vietnam War. Think about that. Indeed, for almost 10 years, Moscow had to carry on a war unsupportable by the government, a conflict that brought about the demoralization and finally the breakup of the Soviet Empire. And neither do you regret having supported, think what's going on in the world right now, and neither do you regret having supported the Islamic fundamentalism, having armed and advised future terrorists, what is now Al-Qaeda, Taliban, all that shit. What's more important to the history of the world, the Taliban or the collapse of the USSR? Well, I guess it depends on when you're at. Right now, I would say the Taliban. He was, well, let's just say he was a national security advisor to President Carter. He's Polish. He was born in Poland in 1928. He was a counselor to Lyndon Baines Johnson. He helped normalize relations with communist China. He helped broker the Camp David Accords, which was transition of Iran from an important U.S. ally to an anti-Western Islamic republic led by Khomeini. We're in the fucking Middle East right now, and we're keep complaining about Iran. What are they going to do? Iran this, Iran that. This is the reason we don't get along with them. This fuck and others of his ilk. Okay? The U.S.'s encouragement of dissidents in Eastern Europe or championing of human rights in order to undermine the influence of the Soviet Union. The arming of the Mujahideen in response to the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan was also partially involved in us losing the Panama Canal. This is all part of his shit. Okay? Now, I've told you that the people who you don't see and whose names you haven't heard, those are the policymakers. Those are the puppeteers. I mean, just listen to this shit, man. Think of this. We have a large public that is very ignorant about public affairs and very susceptible to simplistic slogans by candidates who appear out of nowhere, have no track record, but mouth-appealing slogans. It's us. It's America. We're going to talk some more about how the things he said, how they're coming to light in the real world. It's happening. I'm going to link an article to him. Guys, just getting you started on some Zbigniew Brzezinski. We're going to go through several of these people, these New World Order architects. It's Sunday. I hope everybody has a great day. Guys, love you. Love you, love you, love you. Zbigniew Brzezinski, bad guy. Bad guy. Guys, take care. We'll talk soon.